How you getting on? Are you well? Are you well? And she will be loved. And she will be loved. So, right, the Beatles came up with She Loved You. They never had like that in music history. She loves you. It isn't I love her, she loves me. It's she loves you. No one ever heard that before. And then Maroon 5 came along with songs about Jane. And they came out with She Will Be Loved. The future tense she. No one had ever heard that like that before. Are you well anyway? You good? You look great. You look like you have a glow about you. You had a fucking right last night. I can tell. You had sex last night, you lying bitch. You're glowing. Imagine the mate just wouldn't drop it. You had a fucking blowy last night. I can tell. You have a spring in your step. You're like a cuneen running through the field. Yeah, I can tell. Here, and then you're at a brunch date with your friend, and you're like, you just kind of a little sly thing to the waiter, and like, what was that about? Nothing. And the waiter delivers a plate of carrots to your friend, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And like, you rabbit, having a bit of a spring in your step because you had a blowy last night, and you're like, I'm telling you, I didn't. Well, eat every fucking one of those carrots. I don't know what I'm talking about. I remember, still waiting on that whole scene in the dark hole thing. You know, I thought it would be like eat a load of carrots and this, you know, like Splinter Cell or, you know, some sort of like night vision shit, you know. You got to eat all those carrots so you can see in the dark. Okay, Dad. Nom, 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 nom. Okay, here we go. We got Bravo team. There's your fucking carrots, Dad. There's your carrots. No, but I kind of thought there's all this lie. You just lie, don't you? I'm going to start making up lies to my son. You have to eat all your porridge if you want to fly. If you want to have the ability to fly. Well, is that not going to come to fruition? Well, guess what? Life's not fair. You know? But, what bullshit. What bullshit. I mean, life as a child, you know, you got to go. You can't be looking out. This is what I was told. You can't be looking out the window at night, otherwise you might see the banshee. The banshee will throw her comb at you. It'll pierce your neck, paralyzing you. Sorry for the hard P's on this. I don't have my pop filter. It'll paralyze you, and then the banshee will take you away forever. Even though I know now the banshees don't do that. Banshees are like malevolent beings. They're here to let you know of an impending death. They're not going to take anyone. They're just here to tell you that someone, you know, or someone in the family, a descendant of the Milesians, the first men who walked on Irish soil, descendants from Spain. If you're a descendant of them, if you're a Fitz or a Mick, then guess what? The banshees might let you know that someone in your family is going to die. It's only a certain bloodline in the family, and they're just to let you know. And how do they deliver that news? By crying appropriately. They're appropriately crying. It'd be like ordering a dress that looked amazing on Boohoo, and then DHL coming and delivering it and being like, it looks shit. It's going to look shit on you. You know, the appropriate way, delivering news appropriately, or like on post. You were caught speeding on the M50. Look, thank you. Look, just give me the fucking letter. I'll deal with this. You know, just an appropriate emotional response to the message that you're getting. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I do know what I'm talking about, but I want to stop talking about this. So yeah, that's how you just you know, hard life as a child. You know, you're eating things that you thought was going to give you X-ray night vision, and being paralyzed in fear to stare out your own window. You know, but what else? How are you keeping? Are you well? Are you good? How's things? Are you bored? I'm fucking... Yeah, I don't know, actually. I think I'm alright. Just saw this meme that's kind of shook me to the core. Blind Boy posted it. It's that meme of, you know, the guy kind of defending himself from a knife, you know, and then so, like, you know, you put the text over each one. The guy defending himself with his hands up is me recovering from 2020. And then the guy holding the knife is 2022 in 4 months. It's in 2022 is in 3.5 months. 2022 is in, and I'm just you know, it comes in waves of how bored you are, or whether, you know, we're out of it. Oh, this is all, you know, but I'm just fairly bored of it all now. And I really thought we were going to have Electric Picnic. I really thought that was going to be, you know, That would just be, that's why we'd all get vaccinated by September 2021. I'm sure it'll all, And then it's just, Croke Park, different thing. Everyone walking down those narrow little fucking streets to get in there. Everyone walking into the even narrower tunnels to get to their seats and then sitting side by side, tens of thousands of people. That's different than, the same amount across acres of field, keeping their distance, fully vaxxed. That's completely different. As if you went into the Dáil and you said, never have I ever, watched a GA match. You'd have everyone fucking down in shots. And if you said, never have I ever played a guitar, you'd have fucking one legend in the back probably have a little sip, Yeah, but I'm not very good. Doesn't matter if you're not very good, man. Have you played a guitar? Have you picked up a guitar? Yeah. Well, then you fucking then drink. But that's the thing. It's just, can you believe the things that you like, the things that you value, the things that you really appreciate, your hobbies, the things that you kind of enjoy doing, or would not probably go hand in hand with anyone who would represent you in the Dáil? I'm not getting pulled. You goddamn clowns, man. I feel like it's Duffy's Circus in here, man. Hawhies? Bunch of Charles Hawhies? Fucking Fianna Fáil clowns, man. Now, what do you call a clown who represents Fianna Fáil in the Dáil Éireann? You might even call him Charles Hawhee. I'm really gotten a lot of mileage out of the fact that Charles Hawhee's name sounds like a clown nose. But anyway, coincidence? Well, Count Collier, is it a coincidence that weren't there gun-running Taoiseach? His name, in fact, sounded like a clown's nose. Hawhee. I'm not getting into it. Look, I'm just not going to get into politics right now, right? Not because it's not to do with the fact that I haven't read anything or I barely know anyone's name or really know any of the topics. It's not to do with that. It's just I don't want to get into it. If I start going off on the Dáil and everyone in the Dáil, I know them all, their names and who all the ministers are, then they no stopping me. Anyway, let me talk about something I actually like. And that is the sponsor of this week's podcast, the Dubliner Irish Whiskey. And let me tell you this, it is a very exciting time in Dubliner HQ this week. I told you, in there it's like Mad Magazine. Cuckoo clocks going up, cuckoo, cuckoo. Lads wearing disco balls on their head. It is wild. And they have done something even wilder this week, something just for daddy. They have launched a brand new whiskey taste with Rascals, part of the beer cask series, but it's one just for daddy. My favourite cocktail, it's the Dubliner Irish Whiskey Old Fashioned bottle. It tastes like an old fashioned. What? Are you mad? Like the whole cocktail? Yes! What they did is they took the traditional Dubliner Irish whiskey recipe, they put it in a Rascals blonde ale cask, and then they fucked in a lot of oranges. And like star anise and spices. And guess what? It tastes like the perfect blend of spices and tastes to basically make an old-fashioned. And it tastes really good. Top a bit of soda water if you want. You want to dilute a little bit. You don't want to be drinking straight whiskey. But it's also just fucking little ice cubes. And it's honestly, it tastes... I have been, since getting my bottle, over a long period of time, responsibly rinsing through it. It's very tasty. And I'm very impressed. It's almost like they'd made it just for me, And I'm glad, they're finally doing something for me, after them sponsoring this podcast, committedly for, coming up to a year. Finally, they've done something for me. Make my favourite cocktail in bottle form. They may as well call it the Tony Cantwell blend. They're not going to. They don't. Maybe they will. They're not going to. But it's tasty-ass whiskey. And if you want to get some, go to the DLD.com or check out at Dubliner Whiskey. I would recommend you checking out their Soch, especially this week and next week, as you might see a couple of familiar faces on there. I can't give any more information than that, but you should check it out. And thank you again, Dubliner, for sponsoring this podcast. I fucked it up. I was doing so well. But now let's get on to the topic of this week's podcast, justice. That's right, it's Judge Cantwell, Judge Tony, and Sexicutioner. Tagline, all rise, how you getting on the Tony Cantwell Shitshow. The Tony Cantwell Shitshow. And I know that the show is Tony Cantwell Shitshow. Lovely stuff. All rise. How you getting on? Judge Cantwell is in session. I tell you, if I was in bloody... Bring me into a quiet room. Bring me into a fucking... Hey, enough of this court. How about cart? What about instead of courtroom drama, how about Mario Kart drama? It was going really well, and then hit me with a blue shell. Death! I sentence you to death. This is Mario Kart. I'm getting nothing but bananas. I sentence you to death again. But God, look. Content creation is hard. Content creation is hard, okay? That's why this week I'm a judge. Next week, guess what? I'm going to fucking space. I'm an astronaut. This week I'm a judge because the muses were so generous to smile on me a few weeks ago when I came out and I was about to say my world-famous catchphrase, all right, how you getting on? And instead I said, all rise, like what a bailiff might say. And then it came to me, I will be a judge and I will listen to the cases of you. Engagement. That's what this is, engagement. I'm speaking directly to you. I put up on the soch. I said, look, I am going to be a judge for a little bit and I want to hear your cases of when you were wronged. If you are the defendant, tell me who the plaintiff is and I will tell you which side of the law I will come down on very hard and what the sentence will be for the person who has wronged. Essentially, that's what law is. So that is what we're doing on this pod. I am going to be a judge. And look, I'm sure I'll do something later on in post where I'll put like Judge Judy music on. You know, something like this. Like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But anyway, look, I put the feelers out, guys. I put the feelers out, guys. I put the feelers out. And this is obnoxious. I've had so much coffee. Put the feelers out. I want to know of a time that you were wronged. And I will be hearing from one side. But I have been the ear of enough gossip and bullshit across the years to know when something sounded a little fishy. Maybe this doesn't sound like that's all that happened. You know, people are like, look, all I did was, ask him if he could move over slightly, and I was really polite, and he fucking kicked me in the head. And I'm like, well, is that really all? If let me tell you this, right? If you hear a bit of gossip and it is so unbelievable, you're like, what did he do? Then 100% the person who's telling you, well, 80% chance the person that's telling you this is exaggerating or leaving something key out or heard something. Nothing is that unbelievable. The only thing that unbelievable is the Lord of the Rings. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If you're like, he said fucking what? And he just said that unprovoked without you saying anything. And he jumped to that as like just you were having a normal conversation and he just came out with that one big inflammatory statement saying that you've never been friends and he's never liked you. He just said that out of nowhere. Oh my God, what a dickhead. Yeah. And Smaug is coming as well. And Smaug is coming. You need to be careful now. Look, a lot of bullshit going out there. Anyway, let's start. Okay, here we go. Here's one. This is from Seamus O'Shea. Seamus says, play the music. When I was a child, my family never had nice cereal. Only porridge, Weetabix, cornflakes, etc. That's all that made it to the shopping list. Sugary cereals were a luxury to us, and we would only get it at a friend or cousin's house. But my dad bought us Cookie Crisp one weekend, and needless to say, I was very excited to have a bowl. So when I got up on Saturday morning, I went downstairs, and to my horror, I found a completely empty box on the table, and my older sister had set an alarm for 6 a.m. to get there first, and had eaten all of it. I got so angry that I picked up a 2-litre carton of milk, and I bounced it off her head. Wow. It exploded and destroyed our living room. I got an absolute bollocking off the parents of my sister. Nothing. No, I'm not saying that I'm totally innocent, but I would like my sister to be held accountable for her actions 14 years later. Seamus, I'm glad, from what you presented, it seems to be a fairly unbiased argument. Okay, you both wanted the Cookie Crisp. It's fucking biscuits and cereal. To go from Weetabix to that's the jump like that is you may as well pour a bunch of fucking Maltesers in a bowl and poured milk in, which is a cereal I came up with, actually. Still yet to do it. See, the thing about those boxes of Maltesers, I'm not going to... No, but I think... Yeah, nice box. What is there, 5 Maltesers in there? Yeah, thanks very much for the box of Maltesers. What is there, 5? Give me a bumper pack. And make sure they've squeezed all the air out so I can see how much is actually in it, you clown. Look, you both wanted the Cookie Crisp. You saw the wolf, he was on TV. He was making it seem so appealing. If you were to tell me the opposite story, if you were to tell me that you really wanted the Cookie Crisp, you set an alarm to get off at 6 o'clock in the morning, you ate the entire thing of Cookie Crisp, and then your sister bounced a 2-litre bottle of milk off your dome, I would say that move was excessive. So I need to view this from both sides. I need to see the Cookie Crisp from both sides now. And the way I see it is your retaliation, unfortunately, was too excessive. The thing is, had you calmly said to your parents, waited and just waited calmly and said, look at that gluttonous bitch for what she's done to this family. And she is a glutton. She is a glutton, you know, but I can also relate. I don't know what. I shouldn't be a judge. I shouldn't be a judge. Had you calmly said to your parents, look what she's after doing, I was really looking forward to that, and it's actually upset me quite a lot that she wouldn't want to share with me. Come on, man, you need to manipulate. I know you're a kid. You were a kid. Then likelihood is your dad would have ran out, she would have got a scolding, and you would have had a whole thing of Cookie Crisp. But, you know, a carton for a carton makes a lot of fucking milky domes, do you know what I mean? To the head. So I'm going to have to, in this case, because of your excessive force, side in favor of the plaintiff, your sister. You were in the wrong. It was excessive. That doesn't take away from the fact that she's a glutton. However, I am going to award you damages. She has to buy you a new box of Cookie Crisp, and she has to watch you eat every single bit of it. Cookie Crisp mukbang is what I award you, the defendant. All right, next one. McGrath on Instagram says, play the music. All right. So a few of us moved out to Perth in October, and I'd passed my driving test just 4 days before. My mate got a car sorted fairly quickly from a family friend, so I borrowed it the day after he got it to take it for a spin to go gaff hunting. I somehow ended up on the motorway for the first time, 5-lane job, shitting the togs. Got the car all the way back to the gaff and was so chuffed with myself, only to crash it into a pole, pulling it into the Airbnb. Lovely dent right in the middle of the number plate. I wasn't even close to making the turn. Very stressful. So I headed inside to calm down and scoffed down the remainder of some pizza on a plate in the fridge. When it all came to light the next day, he was fairly reasonable about the whole situation, the mate. Until he asked why I hadn't at least taken the empty plate out of the fridge after I'd eaten his pizza after I'd crashed his car. Come on. So you're not even asking who's in the wrong here, because you know this is an admission of guilt. This is you coming out here and just saying, I did it. If I did it. Signed OJ McGrath, right? You did it, bro. And then it was the small little step. You flexed on a sound, lenient mate. Right? I expected just to be siding with whoever responded to my online plea for cases for this episode of Judge Cantwell. But you know what you did. And it was a small little detail. It's like Al Capone getting done for not filing a tax return. You know what I mean? All the other stuff, it was like, I'm not going to convict you of it. And then it came down to it, bro, at least take the fucking plate out of the fridge. Look, I'm going to side. Your mate doesn't even seem like he wants to be involved in this. Seems like a really cool person. I'm going to suss a car for you. Here's the car. Take it out for the day. You crashed it, don't worry about it. You had the pizza, don't worry about it. Take the fucking plate out of the fridge. He's dead right. And it's not because it's being petty. It's just that's the straw that broke the camel's back. You can't, he's not a doormat, your mate. So I side with your mate, the plaintiff, and I sentence you to clean his dishes once. But he can pile them up as big as he wants in the sink. But you have to come over at one time and clean all the dishes that's in the sink. That's the only way to make this right. Right? And you need to get him a nice plate, a newer plate. Get him a Claire Campion plate. Famed ceramicist Claire Campion. Check at Claire Campion on Instagram. She makes fantastic delf. She makes lovely ceramics, we've all said. And she's a good friend. So as I sentence you to buy one of my mate's plates. Right, next up. Robsy_Quincy writes, play the music. I jocked my mate when we were 9 years old at a birthday party at a friend of ours. Nice one, man. He's fucking a legend. Nice one. It's stop the music for a second. It's such a shame that I've said this many times that you can't jock people comfortably anymore, and that you can't push people into ponds. I think that's the biggest. That you want to talk about PC gone mad, right? I think it's such a shame. A flaccid penis for me is well, for me, the course is for me. Look, for someone else, maybe seeing a bare penis when they didn't want to see a penis would be quite invasive. I just think they look like a silly, dumb dolphin. All penises do. So I like seeing them around. I think it's funny. I think flaccid penises are funny. And dumb looking. And pulling someone's cacks down, seeing a penis, is just like, you're a little boy pissing at a urinal with your cacks around your ankles. It's a funny way just to completely, devolve someone, and I think it's very funny. But I understand that, and another thing is pushing people into ponds. But now with the IP factor of phones, with how water resistant they are, I think it should make a comeback. The whole thing was you can't push people in ponds for any reason now because people had Nokias. We can start pushing people back in ponds. Don't anyone ever push me in a pond. It would ruin my life. Anyway, you jocked your mate and play the music again. He was really embarrassed. He hit me with a dead arm and I thought we were even. Cut the music. He could, if he held your ma hostage, he still wouldn't be even, right? He could crash a plane into your family home and it still wouldn't be even. It couldn't be more clear. A cock for a cock. It has to be balanced that way. There is no way you can get in as many dead arms as you want in between then. It's never done. So anyway, it continues. However, when we went back to school, I found out it still wasn't over. He'd barely talk to me, and he would stare at me across the room in the yard. I played football with my hands in my pockets of my trousers in case he tried to jock me back. We'd been best friends until his birthday party and walked home every day together. From that moment, we started walking home on different sides of the road. It was like I could feel his presence staring at me and planning his revenge 24/7. And this went on for 3 whole years. 3 whole years I had to put up with this anxiety of when he was going to get his revenge. He eventually did jock me back and it wasn't so bad. What was worse was the fear and anxiety I had to face for 3 years. I still think he was in the wrong. For making you feel bad? This reminds me of a time when I got absolutely belligerent drunk, where I was incomprehensible, and I think it was an absinthe kind of night, which was a very short-lived trend when I was in college, and then again briefly when I moved to London. And I was mad drunk one night, and we were all giddy, and we were dancing around, and we in the front room doing karaoke, and someone was drinking like a mixer or something like that, and it was Tango Orange and whatever gin, Gironge we kept saying, which we thought was really for gin and orange. Gironge we kept saying, which we thought at the time was so funny. Now it's only very funny. So he's drinking a Tango. Someone's drinking a Tango Gironge. And I was like, and then I went, when you've been tangoed. And I slapped Jordan in the face. Slapped another man, me a man, so hard in the face that I sobered up. I smacked him so hard and the clatter was so loud that I immediately sobered up. And his eyes, to quote Dan Brown in Digital Fortress, his eyes went white like a shark. And I just said immediately, because that was that, and I just said, I'm so sorry. And he did that thing that I recommended Seamus do. He was calm. And he says, it's okay. And he was just quiet. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I kept apologizing. I'm so, fuck, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, slap me, please slap me. And he goes, no, I'm not going to slap you. I'm not going to slap you. And I'm like, please fucking slap me. And I start slapping myself. Like a psycho. Please, just fucking slap me, bro. And he's like, no, I'm not going to slap you. I'm not going to slap you now. And I lived in absolute terror because it was owed to me. It's not like I know it. Like, you know, sometimes like Terry throws something at my head, like a plastic ball, you know, like ball pit ball, and she hits me from across the room, and I'm like, all right, now I get to hit you, and she goes, no, that's not how it works, and I'm like, that's not how you. You're such a youngest child of brothers. Do you know what I mean? You just get away with this, so you have to take the punishment back. You have to take it back. So I lived in this perpetual fear, and Jordan kept opening doors with his hand sticking out, and everywhere I looked, there was a hand just hovering. Until eventually he just put out the hand and shook mine and said, your punishment is over. So he did respect the fact that I lived in fear that he would get me back, and I had to take it. So I relate. I do think that even though they're kids, even though your mate was a kid and you were kids, jocking comes with the territory. It's a shame. It's a shame that the first person has to be jocked, and then everyone remembers that jocking's the thing and starts jocking everyone. But it's a shame for the first person that they don't know that they have to tie their Diodora tracksuits so tight that they actually leave like a red mark around their waist. They don't, you know, it's the burden of being the first jockey, you know. But I do think your mate was in the wrong, especially to let you live in the fear and jock you eventually, and the dead arms. It is even. But your mate let it linger a little bit too longer. So your mate is in the wrong. And I side with you, the defendant. And I sentence your mate. So if he didn't like being jocked so much, how about this? He has to make a porno for you. He has to make a porno for you of him having relations with someone. So sorry about that. Yeah, but he has to do it. CNIF on Instagram says, I lent a mate a $5 in school years ago and he gave it back to me in 1, 2 and 5 cent coins. Tony McGregor's turning in his Hugo Boss suit listening to this. That's a lot of coinage. Consider this. Even if it was just 5 cent coins, that's 100 coins. I mean, if there's even a couple of 2 cents and 1 cent in there, that's what? We're talking about 300 coins? That's insane. However, you know, it's a scaldy thing to do. It's a scaldy thing to do. It's taking the piss. Like, how many conveniences is your mate getting out of this? Getting the $5 and then losing all the change. That is just self-indulgent. I side with you, CNIF. I don't need to hear anything else about this. Your mate now owes you. So he gave you over 100 coins that you had to cash. How about now he has to give you €100? He owes you 100 quid. Your mate, for the $5 that he gave you back and in coins, now owes you €100. The judge has spoken. All right, here's one about borrowing. Jack123456 says, my mate called around to my house last month to see if I still had the DVD of Johnny English he lent me when we were in 5th class. We're about 26 now. But then he says, does that make me a flake? I actually still had the DVD and I gave it back to him. Look, a little. Let's have a little thought about etiquette, borrowing etiquette here. Some people think that when they lend you something, they're ever going to see it back, and I call those people rubes. These people are rubes, right? Because they know that's the deal. You know that's the deal. Don't be a dick looking for it back. Don't be. Hey, we had a good thing going on here, right? If I come over to your house and I'm like, oh, I actually haven't seen that flick. Can I borrow it? I'm really what I'm saying, and you know this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, can I take shit that is yours? Can I take it? Can I have this? Oh, that's cool. Can I have it? You know, you get more used to it as you know, the more you do it. Can I keep this forever? You know, you don't say that. You're just like, oh, I wouldn't mind checking. Oh, I haven't read Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. I wouldn't mind checking it out. Oh, cool. Thanks very much. I'm going to keep it forever. Do you know what I mean? You know, and you don't want people coming back. You know, the people who come back and are like, oh, can I have that back? You know, what are you doing? I reckon this buzz. We had a good thing going on here. Do you know what I mean? We had a good thing going on. It was free love. Summer of '69. You were giving me shit. I was taking it. What you reckon? You reckon this buzz? I'm actually sad now. You're emotionally upsetting me here. You're coming back for your copy of Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy that I haven't read yet. It looks good on my shelf. I want people who come here to think I read and understood the thing that you own. So the fact that you gave back Johnny English, look, if you were happy to give back something that was yours, that's fine. Does that make you a flake? Absolutely not. Makes you better than most of us. Perfectly honest. You know? But that is the etiquette. You know, people coming back. Do you have that Michael Collins VHS? What are you fucking trying? What are you trying to make me look for something now? What are you talking about? Do you have that USB key I lent you? You fucking joke me. Why are you giving me a thing to do here? I thought we had a good thing going on. You know? Looking for a USB key. I'm sorry. It's just it has my wedding photos on it. Don't be upsetting me. You know? So just something to bear in mind. All right, next one. Mark Blenner Hassett says, I gave my mate a loan of my Xbox 360, you fucking rube, and a few games when he broke his leg, and he never gave it back. Then a few years later, he was stuck for cash, and he tried to sell it back to my younger brother. Absolutely no shame. Right. I've heard your side of the argument. I can't see any other side. So presumably, the Xbox 360, you got a PS4, I'm presuming, or an Xbox One. You lent him the old console, the old games. You know, I kind of have to stick to the thing here, don't I? Look, selling it back, make it a profit over something that was kind of a free love situation where you gave him to keep your games console and a few games, you know, to then abuse that by trying to, you know, capitalize on that. That's sick. You know, all right. So here's what I think, right? I'm going to side with you, the defendant, on this one, because he shouldn't have sold it back. If it was just he didn't give it back, I would have sided with the plaintiff, and I would have said, you're a rube, and you need to stop upsetting his experience with enjoying that Xbox 360. It's his now, all right? But the fact that he wanted to sell it on to your younger brother, I am going to find in favor of you, the defendant. And if he broke his leg and you gave that to him, then you get to break his other fucking leg. So, a leg given, I don't know. Next one, Mr. Matt Dooley says, play the music. I really like this one. So he says, I had a mate in third year, and we were only really mates because our mas were mates. Anyway, my birthday's in May, and around February, he starts mentioning that my birthday's coming up soon and all that. And he kept asking if I liked Sean Paul. And I was like, yeah, sure. As much as anyone does in the mid-2000s, I guess. Anyway, this went on for weeks. Oh, so you still like Sean Paul? With a big smirky, I know something you don't know kind of grin. And I was like, yeah, sure, still as much as I did and as much as I ever will. So my ma and his ma were over for tea and biscuits, and she was like, oh, I heard your birthday's coming up and you're a Sean Paul fan. Well, that's going to work out really well. I would be so curious. What is it about Sean? Is he going to come out? Happy birthday, Mr. Matt Dooley. So a week or so later, I see at the back of a newspaper that Sean Paul is going to be playing the O2 at the end of May, and tickets were like 60 quid or something. And I thought, look, I've cracked the code. He's got me tickets to see Sean Paul. And I had little or no interest in that, but I thought, oh, fuck, it'll be a laugh going to see Sean Paul with him. So I got myself pumped for it. Anyway, the big birthday comes, and I have a load of friends over, including your man and his man. And the time comes to open his present. And I'm giving it the whole, ooh, I wonder what this could be. And he hands me a square wrapped in wrapping paper, and his grin is back. He can barely hold his excitement. And his mum is beside him too, looking like Grandpa Joe as Charlie's opening up the golden ticket chocolate bar. So I tip open the packaging, and there it is in all its glory. We Be Burning, the 2005 single. One song on a CD, no tickets, no nothing else. What an absolute letdown. Mr. Matt Dooley, thank you so much for sending this in. It's a mad one because it's not like you're desperate to see Sean Paul, but to have a kind of this, do you definitely like Sean Paul? Are you still going to like Sean Paul in 3 months? Oh, do you know, it's so sweet. Just thinking of your you know, your mate going around just seeing like, oh my God, I'm going to get We Be Burning for Matt, and I'm going to give it to him in 3 months for his birthday. It's just, but if you're going to come for the king, you best not miss, and he missed. Okay? You don't hype up something for that long when the payoff is just, a single, Well, that's a cassette single, a CD single, a C-dingle. That's too much, you got to know your hype. And actually, he was completely in the wrong to hype that up. Not that you were entitled to anything. Not that you were entitled. And also, what I love about this is he's wrong, even though you weren't even arsed seeing Sean Paul. And he's not entitled to get you anything. But when you dangle a dingle and you're making it seem like it's a full gig in the O2, a full experiential €60 job, do you know what I mean? Sizing up the price of it all, do you know what I mean? Then it was a letdown, and your mate is wrong. So I'm going to side with you, the defendant. He should have either said nothing or brought you to see Sean Paul. I love this podcast. I love this podcast. He should have done nothing, said nothing, or brought you to see Sean Paul, one or the other. All right? So, Mr. Matt Dooley, I would have a word with him. Jonathan KNBA says, here we go. Me mate robbed me shiny Charizard when we were kids and convinced me that I lost it and that he got it in the RDS, bastard. Jonathan, your mate owes you, according to latest eBay auctions, $45,000. Let me tell you, everyone's going mad for the shiny Charizard. Pokemon cards are back in a big way, right? Pokemon cards, we were the first generation to appreciate Pokemon cards. I can't fully say that I was the first one in Ireland to have Pokemon cards, but I was the first one in Ireland to have Pokemon for the Game Boy. I've talked about that on a previous spot. But let me tell you this. Shiny Charizards were a fucking dime a dozen. We were propping up fucking tables with our shiny Charizards back in the day. Now they're gold dust. Now one of the Pauls, I don't know which one, Logan, has a shiny Charizard, in like acetate, like in mint condition around his neck, and they're worth a fucking fortune. And there were so many of them going around. What you happened with you bought? They for a while they didn't sell individual Pokemon cards in the foil pack. They only sold them in a box and with the whole starter kit. And the whole Pokemon card game is shite. It's a shite, boring game. And then people were just trying to look to collect them all, But the thing was, we weren't getting them in fast enough because they didn't have the foil pack. So lads just kept buying the beginner set where you get like a box and you'd have like all the little, there was loads of, every pack had like a shiny Charizard in it and a shiny Mewtwo. So they were a dime a dozen because everyone had them. But also in the pack you'd have like little pebbles or whatever, little stones that you'd put down to kind of show what element was going to be, or it was a stupid game, right? But I tell you, we had shiny Charizards a dime a dozen. So look, I understand that you are 45k in the red right now, much like Charizard's fucking skin, orange. But those shiny Charizards, bro, were a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? They were everywhere. So yeah, if it was robbed, then your mate's in the wrong. All right, you need to show up at your mate's gaff and demand $45,000. You need it in dollars. It's like €38,000, but you want it in dollars. So don't go into specific detail. Don't bring up exactly what this is about. Just knock on the door with a baseball bat and say, "Can I have my $45,000, please?" And then if he says that, and just smash his window and scream, intimidate him, like Drogo and How to Train Your Dragon 2, which I watched recently. All right, next up, Sean Nolan says, when me and my mates were around 11, 12, we had a band called Season 3. You fucking legends. Consisting of me on drums, my mate Matt on keys, and frontman Daly on guitar. And we played all the hits he has here in caps. And by that, I mean mainly covers of the script. When heart breaks, no, don't break even. What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? I was crafting the street, I was feeling so nice, feeling so fine. And Oasis cover. Sounds unreal. Even with this shocking catalogue of covers, we were convinced we were going to make it big time. To our excitement, Daly announced that one day he landed us a gig at his cousin's 6th birthday. Oh man, his birthday party. So with our inflated egos, me and Matt were like, "How much are we getting paid though?" And Daly said about $10 each, and we were thrilled. Day of the gig comes around, and we burst through our set list. And to make up for the time, we had to redo The Man Who Can't Be Moved around 3 times. So we settled at that, played rugby for the rest of the party. However, when payment came around, Daly walks over with 3 goodie bags of sweets as our reward. Myself and Matt were furious. We are furious that we won't be receiving payment, and we claim that Daly then owed us the money that we've still yet to receive this day. So please, we need an honourable Judge Tony to settle this 12-year dispute once and for all. Thank you very much, Sean. Listen, I think if you even look into what you've written here, where basically he said, "I got us a gig," and both you and Matt said, "How much are we getting paid?" And he said, $10 each. I believe there was no tenner, man. There was no tenner. I would like to believe that Daly, look, if he's a front man, maybe his ego got to him. Maybe he's like, "Hey, I'm Billy Corgan. I'll have just as much success with my band Zwan than I will with the Smashing Pumpkins." Do you know what I mean? Maybe the ego got to him, and he thought, "Look, I'm the songwriter of these covers of the script." So, but what I probably believe here is he got you the gig. Probably didn't ask about money himself, and then it was like, I don't know, $10 each. Maybe he did try and sweet talk you. Sweet talk, you up to, his uncle and his auntie. But he did get you the gig, and that is a huge, when you're 11 and you're playing a gig in front of a bunch of 6-year-olds, it doesn't get any better than that. You know what I mean? You just need that presence. Before you even did the gig, you came out of it being a much better, fully formed band. Yes, it would be scaldy if Daly pocketed the cash. I'd love to hear Daly's side of view on this, point of view side on this, because I think what happened was you and Matt were like, "How much?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to disappoint my friends, $10 each," and then that didn't come to fruition, But then again, maybe he did. I'm gonna side with Daly on this one because Daly pushed you outside your comfort zone, and that's all you can ask for in a friendship and in a band. And I think you should be fucking grateful to get played at 6-year-old's birthday party. It's all about exposure, guys. There could have been an executive there from Interscope who could have signed you. Every opportunity is an opportunity to be signed by Interscope Records. And I sentence you. You owe him a tenner for the exposure. So you and Matt owe him 20 quid. Okay, next one. All right, let's try. Dara Brennan says, one of the lads said he couldn't come to the pub because he didn't want to miss Love Island. He said this on a few occasions. What do you say, Judge Cantwell? I need to say this to you. I don't need to hear any more of this. I side in favour of the plaintiff. Don't you judge a man. Don't you judge a man for watching Love Island. I don't watch it. But don't you judge someone for enjoying something. Just enjoy, wanting to be part of the conversation. Don't you dare. Don't you take something away from him because that's outside the norms of what you boys normally do in the pub. However, if he's a flake and he won't leave the gaff, Jesus Christ, you can watch it later. Do you know what I mean? If he's not been out in a while, then you could be like, you flake. Hey, stick your fucking arse in this 99. That's where you belong. You know what I mean? Hey, why am I? I have to stand up and pat myself down after I talk to you. You're such a flake. Little flaky bits getting on my legs. And here's another thing about the flake rapper. Why? It's the most messy rapper. To unfurl that at the top. All right, bow down with that one really quick. All right, we'll get a few more here. Wait, sorry. And I sentence you to arrive at his house to watch Love Island with a pint of Guinness and a flake on top. In it. All right, next one here. Declan McGee says, my sister cut through the wires of the N64 at home because when we were 9, I wouldn't let her play Ocarina of Time.
I also would like to state that she was in danger. She was a danger with games cartridges, and I couldn't risk her smashing it against the wall to get it to work. Declan McGee. On first reading of this, I side with you, the defendant, and I sentence her to fucking death. On second reading, I side with her, and you were in the wrong. Look, cutting through the wires of an N64 is absolutely unforgivable, but why would anyone ever do something so desperate? You denied your sister arguably one of the funnest, most incredible, immersive, fantastic gaming experiences of any generation of consoles. You denied her that. You denied her, acquiring a shield. It's dangerous to go alone, to go to the Deku Tree, learning about the Triforce. You denied her the flashback weird nightmares of Ganon stealing Zelda. You denied her the songs of, the Song of Storms and the Song of Time and having these incredible, mind-blowing experiences, like when you go to the windmill and the guy is like, I've been here singing this song for, 10 years. And I don't understand. You're adult Link, this guy, he's been driven mad, and then you realize that you actually had to go back in time to teach him that song. It's like fucking Bill and Ted. It is absolutely incredible, an unbelievable experience, and probably the single most satisfying finishing of a game because of everything that you did leading up to that point that you didn't necessarily, that was all kind of done in your own time. You know what I mean? That's the most amazing thing about Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's kind of like, I can just shoot a bunch of arrows. This is open world and an absolutely amazing game. And you denied your sister that. And that is completely unforgivable. So what you need to do is you need to buy your sister a Nintendo Switch, and you need to get her Breath of the Wild. And you need to let her experience an as good, if not better, hey, come at me, if not better, Zelda game. I think it's absolutely one of the best games of all time. So that's what you have to do now. You were in the wrong. And it took me a while to figure that out, but you were in the wrong. You cannot deny someone. It was in her home. It was probably the gold cartridge, because I had the same one. It was a gold cartridge sitting there, and you're like, no, you don't get to fucking play it. Yeah, it's on all. She should have cut a lot more than that. All right, last one. Right here we have Mark Collins. He says, when I was in college and broke, I needed to borrow my friend's student leave card to get the bus for a day. When I went to pay him back, he told me I owed him the full adult fare, as that's how much I would have had to pay in cash, even though it had worked out about half the price on the student leave card. Now, funny you say this one, Mark Collins, because I have another one here from a man called Larger Baby, who could indeed be a pal, because he has the exact same story. He says, a couple of years ago, we were all broke students. My mate, let's call him Dwight York, was getting the bus into town to meet someone. So that's you, Mark Collins. This was before leap cards, so it was cash or bus tickets only. He didn't have the return fares in coinage or a student travel card, so my other mate, let's call him Andy Cole, gave him a student Rambler to use. It was one of those tickets, you had a certain number of days on the ticket, and if you used it on a certain day, you had unlimited access for the rest of the day. Dwight said he'd given the cash for using a day on his ticket, and he asked how much it would cost, and Andy said €5.30. We queried, saying that wasn't the cost of a day ticket on the bus, and he said that's the cash equivalent of 2 journeys on the bus. And this led to a long roundabout argument with Andy Cole repeatedly saying that $5.30 is what the bus would cost Dwight York, and that he should pay. The €2 daily rate would only apply to Andy because he had a student travel card. He finally relented and gave in to the €2, but never accepted the argument. Sounds like a tight fucker. Your mate sounds like the sort of chap who counts his fingers before he shakes your hand, if you know what I mean. Look, I'm going to side with Mark. I'm going to side with AKA Andy. What was the footballer names again? Andy Cole. Look, your mate's a tight fucker, but I'm going to tell you this. I side with you, the defendant. But for me to sentence your friend, I cannot sentence him to anything worse than he's already gone through. For when looking for the €5.30, his mask slipped and revealed a scaly face with a forked tongue, and his contact lenses that looked like human eyes slipped, and behind them revealed $sign eyes, because he's a tight fucker, loves cash. So although I side with you, Mark Collins, and all your other football pseudonyms, your mate's a tight fucker. But look, the damage has been done. The damages have been awarded in arrears. The court is over. Go in peace to love and serve the law. This has been Judge Cantwell. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, everyone who sent in your cases. Let me know if you'd like me to do this one again. Hit me up on the social, and I will do more if that's what you like. Thank you very much to the Dubliner Irish Whiskey. Go to the DLD.com. Check out their old-fashioned, it's a tasty-ass whiskey. And thank you very much. If you like this podcast, if you would like to listen to more of these podcasts, you can go over to Patreon, patreon.com, and look up Tony Cantwell on there. And every single week on every Friday, I add an extra podcast for free if you pay me the price of a pint. And there's loads of podcasts up there. There's almost as many behind the paywall podcasts as there are public podcasts that you can already listen to. So if you've listened to all these and you want to listen to some more, you can listen to them over there. But if you can't pay...